First of all, I think your analysis was very straight line. History doesn't run in a straight line.
Kid, you cannot tell your neighbor he is stealing ducks when you are stealing funds.
As High Commissioner, I was wrong. As Charandas Prasad, I reacted naturally how any person would have.
I did not come here for that kind of abuse. I did not come here for that kind of abuse. If you're going to go down that road, I'll walk off.
But it's all okay once they're talking. If they were talking, I could not have been here today.
You got ADHD. I got nothing.
Calm down.
I think I've done enough in terms of taking our team out of trouble from losing.
Tomorrow, Taylor. That's good. I'm reading the script now, and the first person that comes to my mind to play a detective,
Yes,
but
the
an
Guyanese critic.
erratic
Mikhail
detective, is Mikhail Rodriguez.
Why an African slapping in young? Why a man and slap a woman? Look, how you deal with that? You deal with that.
We must encourage platforms like this because it brings together different people and allows for discussions to take place in our country on a multiplicity of fundamental issues.
Gildarie, you apologizing for something you think I did is wrong. I don't want you to do that, and you should not have done that. Welcome to the Gildarie Freddie Kissoon show. As we have said so many times, or every time, as a stock record, this is a live recording. Recorded live in the studio of Daybreak News. We come to you Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 8:30 to 9:30, except on Fridays when they are calling program. We go half an hour extra. This is there's a special announcement, and we will probably have more of these special announcements as the months go by. This is the last program for October, and it will have marked 16 months. Time do fly. In those 16 months, we have a lot of people to be grateful for. First, Mikhail Rodriguez, aka Guyanese critic, who have facilitated us with the studio. Secondly, our guests who graciously give us their time. They didn't consider whether this was a new show, and they were going in uncharted waters, but they came for the past 16 months and they made this program possible. And thirdly, the viewership. We never believe in our wildest imagination, and this, you have to forgive me, and I think I speak for Gildarie too, for being a bit chauvinistic. We never believe in our wildest imagination we would have had such enduring, extensive viewership. Thank you once again. And finally, we keep saying these things, but we're forgetting the guys in front of us in a closed door, our operators who have made this possible. We had them one time in front of the cameras when it was Gildarie's wedding. I think Gildarie's birthday is coming up, so we'll have our operators maybe sharing a slice of cake with Gildarie. And then there's a interesting guest coming up, and I'll ask our operators to come and meet that guest, depending on what that guest has to offer. So we have to thank our operators who been with us, and they leave late on Friday when we go half an hour extra. Now for the negative announcement. Christopher Jones, the parliamentary whip for the opposition People's National Congress, was our scheduled guest. But a trade delegation from the continent of Africa, over 200 guests, are here to pursue economic, financial, investment links with the Republic of Guyana. And there is a reception tonight, so naturally the members of parliament will be there. Most likely, Chris will be here on Friday, so we just switch. No call-in Fridays, it's a guest Friday, and this evening there will be a call-in program from 8:30 to 10 o'clock, calling and tell us anything that's worrying you, and I think you have become very careful. I am saying this, I don't speak for Gildarie on this score. I think you have been very careful, and I use the word unapologetically. I think you have been very, very scared of calling from the United States with your smartphone and condemning what Israel is doing in Gaza. It's genocide. It's absolute terrorism. But I know after what Edward Snowden revealed, those phone calls are being monitored, and I guess people are concerned about Big Brother, Orwellian Big Brother. So I can understand this evening we probably wouldn't have any calls. After I hand you over to Gildarie and he hand back over to me, I will show you 3 books I got this week. 3 very interesting books, and they all add to Guyana's historiography. And I'm going to briefly read some passage from them that you need to know about your country's history. Those 3 books are the 2nd volume of the iconic Guyanese Isu Persod, his autobiography, a biography of the iconic Guyanese leader Brinley Ben. His son is currently the Minister of Home Affairs, and the report of the Elections Commission. I will tell you who I got all 3 books, compliments of people that I will tell you about. We will go through those things, and I'm asking you to pay careful attention to the statements that will come out of them and try to get copies of those books. Over to Guyana's enduring journalist. Before I hand over to him, one of these nights in the past, I was talking about how I found it strange that we are one of the few countries in the world. The late founder of the Star Book News, David Akiri, said, we're the only country in the world where you drive in Georgetown and right next to you driving is the Great Atlantic. And I did say on this program, but I can't imagine, I'm on the seawall every afternoon with my part of my life, my doggy. And I can't understand how people could pass the Atlantic Ocean and have their windows up. So Gildarie and I went to a birth night of a dear friend, and we were driving. The birth night was at Dusignal, and he had his AC up, and then he said, oh, let me turn it down. And when he turned it down, that Atlantic breeze was so lovely. I said to him, Gildarie, you like this? You see what's happening? And he agreed. When you're driving next to the Atlantic Ocean, let the breeze wash your face and toss your hair around. It's the healthy Atlantic breeze. With all that jazz, over to Guyana's enduring journalist, the great Leonard Gildarie.
You had a lot of words there, the wind in your hair and things like that. Good night, folks, wherever you are. It's a pleasure as always. I think tonight definitely we'll be heading to the phones, let the phone lines open in a very short while. A couple of things out of the way. You're talking about the war and what is happening down in the Gaza area, and then we're also looking towards Venezuela. A couple of developments there. I was reading the leader of Israel, I think is Netanyahu, and he has made some statements today. He says it's war. I'm not backing down. I'm not going for a ceasefire. The Bible says there's a time for war, and he is going for a war. So let us, if you believe that there's going to be a short end. He says when Pearl Harbor was attacked, the America did not listen to any advice from the United Nations and other folks. And so in this particular case, they were attacked, and he cannot stand back as the leader of Israel and put an end to this thing. So we are going to be in for the long haul, unless a miracle, of course. Next door to our neighbor, we would have seen, I think yesterday, there was a boat that came in. There are many, many boats like that that's coming in Guyana. People are going to continue to flee from the hardships in Venezuela. There's a better life in Guyana. But what was so different from this is that there's some videos that came out of that that really put a couple of things in perspective. Number one, you will read about stories about how immigration and everything, cracking down on immigrants that are coming in by legal means into the country or onto the island. In Guyana yesterday, a boat came and they had several, and it was heartbreaking because I think we've all agreed in this country that there was a time when Guyanese would have gone to other islands, other country, migrated in search of a better life. Now that we have the opportunities in Guyana, should we refuse? We have to do the right thing, the humanitarian thing, and accept. And when you saw those photographs, those images of those people being taken away by the government bosses, and then you also saw some of them. Freddie, I'm not sure if you saw those videos, but there was some. The bus stopped at one point in time by a bridge, and plenty of people were jumping out of the windows, and it was like crazy. It was like an unbelievable sight. You want to know whether that was happening here, but it just drove home the point to me that things are changing so rapidly here. It's not only the infrastructure, but the whole makeup of our society. You walk into a store and there's no longer a lot of Guyanese working there. There's a lot of foreigners working there. You go into a lot of restaurants, and so now it's being manned. The cooks are even Venezuelans, and so on. A lot of Venezuelans here. But our country has made some tremendous changes. I'm not sure whether in the next 5 years we could be able to recognize this country. That is maybe a good thing, because in any development that's going to come, there are going to have to be changes. So that is what is important. I am going to stop here because in a very short while, we are going to open the lines, and the numbers are on the screen, but let me just repeat it: 231-2982. And then you could also call us on 637-1071. If you're overseas and you want to WhatsApp call us or local call us, it's okay. The numbers are there. But let us do a couple of things. Freddie will do his thing for us, and then we open the lines. And let the topic be tonight a little centered around our open arms policy, and what we could do as a country to make sure that we could better this country along those lines. Freddie?
I didn't see the videos. My position is an ideological one. My position is a philosophical one on immigrants coming to this country. Guyana is one of the most uninhabited country in the entire world. 83,000 square miles with just under 800,000 people. There are countries in the world that would send millions of people here. I can't imagine people jumping out of a window. I don't know how or why those people were deported. I mean, they could have been housed somewhere and each one of them selectively interviewed. We can't treat people like that. If you go to Toronto, don't take my word for it. If you go to Toronto now, if you go to London now, you would see the changing landscape of Toronto and London. You would see the vast numbers of Indians, Pakistanis, Chinese. When I went to Miami to look after my eyes, I couldn't believe the amount of Spanish people. I thought, I didn't know. Everywhere you go, people were speaking Spanish. John Lennon said there should be no borders. Why we have Venezuelans jumping out with their children? Look, I hope we don't see a repetition of that. I got 3 books last week, and they were very, very interesting, and I will review them in my daily columns in the Chronicle beginning from this week. First of all, there's a second volume of that iconic Guyanese, Isu Pasad. This is the second volume, Reaching for the Stars, The Life of Dr. Isu Pasad, Volume 2. I got this, Compliments of Demerara Bank. Then there is, for those too young to know, there was a very, very radical, very, very leftist, radical Guyanese politician who has been successful and one of our best anti-colonial leaders. His son is currently the Minister of Home Affairs. His sister, the Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson Ben's sister, did a biography of Brindley Ben and his family. It's entitled The Ant Will Come, The Ants Will Come and Tell Me, a chronicle of the Ben family in Guyana's history. I got this compliment of the Minister of Education, the Honorable Priya Manichan. This is the book of the Minister of Home Affairs' father and his siblings, a biography of the Ben's family. I will read some interesting parts that I don't know how you're going to react to that. The third book I got, compliments of the Minister of Education, the Honorable Priya Manichan, is this. Can you read that? Report of the Commission of Inquiry into the March 2020 elections. Now, I know these call-in programs are for you to air your views, but if you could just bear up with me, I would like to read just briefly from all three books to show you that what are contained in these books have filled voids, things that we didn't know. I will ask you to hold your calls, and let me read first from Report of the Commission of Inquiry. I have the page here. Now, how can you read this and not comment on it if you're a human rights official, if you're an NGO, if you're a civil society activist? Hear what the report said. On a report of a bomb being placed in Ashman's building, Deputy Education Officer, Deputy Election Officer Roxanne Myers told party agents, observers, and diplomats, quote, "Y'all get out of the room, there's a bomb in the building." She never left the building. Now, when there's a bomb, everybody vacates, the police come with their robots, with their experts, but everybody has to clear the building. Roxanne Myers told people there's a bomb in the building, everybody must go out, and Roxanne Myers did not leave. The report concluded that the bomb distress was a hoax. I think you should get a copy of this book. I will interpret this book as one of the most pivotal documents on the political evolution of Guyana. It's impossible and indecent for this report to come out, and there's been no comment from the Guyana Human Rights Commission, Transparency Institute, Red. But as you know, in my daily columns in the Chronicle, I've dealt with the hypocrisy of those people. Now, here's an interesting part of Minister Robeson Ben's sister who wrote this book. The ants will come and tell me. Here is what she said on page 139. The U.S. sent a cable from Guyana to its mission in Barbados, Jamaica, and Trinidad, expressing amazement at the extent of the rigging of the 1973 elections. And this, after quoting from the cable, this is what the author said. One individual who was in a position to have in-depth knowledge of how this rigging was done in the 1973 election was David Granger, who was Prime Minister Burnham's political liaison officer at the GDF during the rigging. Remember his name. It will appear later in this story. Now, how could Granger not know about the rigging of the 1973 election, according to Minister Robeson Ben's sister who wrote this book? But there is more to come. Thanks for holding the line. There's more to come. Dr. Rupert Roopnarine, who helped to form the Working People's Alliance, gave an interview to a West Indian newspaper called The West Indian. And this is what he said in the interview: David Granger has always been my friend. Now, if Granger was the head of the army in 1979, and the Commission of Inquiry into Rodney's death said the army played a role in the assassination of Walter Rodney in 1980 when David Granger was the head of the army. Shouldn't Granger give a statement about if he knew anything, if he heard anything? And how could Rupert Ryan be the most intimate friend of Rodney after his wife, have David Granger as his personal friend, as he admitted in the interview in the West Indian? That is something very, very, very strange. The third extract, and then we'll get into the call. This is from Isu Prasad's second volume of his biography. This is what he said, and we all regretting it. We all regretting what Forbes Burnham did. Here is what Isu Prasad said. One of Burnham's blunders during this period was the closure of the railways, the West Coast and East Railways. However, he only discovered this blunder during the oil crisis of 1973, when it was already too late, as the rails had been whipped up and sold as scrap. We are still regretting. When you look at the roadettes, when you look in, there is one road, one road after and more to get to Berbice. In a modern 21st century country, there's only one road to get to a vital part of Guyana named Berbice. Only one road you can use. There's only one road to get to the Tamari Airport, to the whole of the East Bank. Is the East Bank Public Road. The man scrapped the railway. Isu Prasad said it was a big blunder. Now, if you're listening to me, you can feel free to call on the passage that I've quoted. Try as much as possible to get a copy of each of these books. The report of the Commission of Inquiry, it's not for the faint-hearted. This is evidence of how in the 21st century an election was being rigged in the most barefaced manner. Then, of course, the Guyanese icon, his second volume of his autobiography, Reaching for the Stars. And he had some unpleasant things to say about the bullyism and the violence of Hamilton Green. And thirdly, The Ants Will Come and Tell Me, in which Minister Wilson Ben's sister had some very, very unflattering things to say about Forbes Burnham. I'll hand you over back to Leonard Gildarie.
Definitely, Freddie. Some interesting literature there. I especially want to read that one by Dr. Isu Prasad. Had the privilege of interviewing him a couple of times. One of Guyana's greatest entrepreneurs, lots of knowledge, good historian as well. And you read his first book. I was mesmerized. I took it. I read it through the entire night. That was about how good it was. Let's take the first call. Good evening, caller. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Good evening. Go right ahead.
Can I hear you?
We hear you. We hear you very clear. We hear you very clear. You go right ahead.
Very clear. You go right ahead.
You have to lower your volume.
If you're calling us, make sure that you turn down your volume, and you gotta be ready to take those calls. 231-2982, or you can call us on 637-1071. Make sure you turn those volumes down. We're talking here anything to do with development of Guyana. And of course, I know you guys weren't ready to take calls tonight. Well, let's open the lines. You guys got a lot of stuff to say. Let's talk about Venezuela. Let's talk about the U.S. Let's talk about the Gaza Strip. And the Gaza Strip, yes, we have the first caller. Good evening, caller. Hello? Hello?
Lower your volume completely down.
Lower your volume.
Yeah, my volume is completely down.
Yes, go right ahead.
Yes. I would just like to say, many things I would like to touch on tonight, but I'm going to touch on the most important one. But the first one I just want to touch on quickly. I don't know why Mr. Kissoon likes to entertain people who like to criticize Forbes Burnham. You can't come. Ridley Ben and Robeson Ben and his sister can't be compared to Burnham, what Burnham did for this place. Neither does Isu Prasad. Anyhow, let me go on to the more important thing at hand. The situation with the war in Israel, in the Middle East, with Israel, between Israel and Palestine. from out of parts of Europe. They're only masquerading as if they're Jews. That's why there's an internal conflict going on right now, where the people who are following Judaism, the true followers are stating that that the Zionists don't represent them. The Zionists do not speak for them. Zionism is different from Judaism. This is what a lot of people don't understand. This is why you have a lot of church people, a lot of these churches in America and around the world who are supporting Israel and saying Israel is God's people. Those people that are in there has nothing to do with God. Even the flag, the star of the so-called Star of David, the Tetragrammaton, is nothing to do with God. That is a pagan star. Those people who are sitting there in Israel are demons.
So what is the point that you're trying to make, sir?
Pardon me?
What is the point? What is
The
it
point
that you
I'm trying to make is that we must stand with the Palestinians.
No, everybody has it. Yes, right.
The point I'm making is that people are supporting Israel, thinking that the Israelites, these people who are Israelites, supposed Israelites, are people of God, and they're not. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Okay, thanks, man. Thanks.
Thank you very much for coming through, sir. Bye-bye. Good evening, caller. Hello.
Hey, hi, Mr. Gildarie, and Freddie.
Hi, good
I'm
evening.
calling from Toronto, Canada.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm calling from Toronto, Canada. Enjoying the show.
Sure.
Just to add to the migration issue with the Venezuelans, I'll send you an article I just read. When the Secretary of State of the U.S., Blinken, when he visited Guyana, he stated that the U.S. contributed $4 million U.S. to the government of Guyana to assist with the Venezuelan migration issue. And $4 million U.S., that is about 80 million Guyana dollars.
No, it's 800 million Guyana dollars.
Okay, well, I just checked, but I'm just letting you know that the U.S. contributed
Yes,
to that cause.
Well, there is
But hold a sec. You wanted to tell us the United States contributed 800,000 Guyanese dollars?
800 million, which is 4 million US.
800 million?
Yes.
4 million.
Yes, that's
Yes,
800 million
Mr.
Guyana dollars.
Yes, that's Secretary of State that was in there in Guyana.
Yes.
Blinken. I just read the article. I'll send it to you.
No. Reading an article is one thing. It's the source of the article. Where's the source from?
I also looked at when the speech when he was at State House. I did heard him say that the U.S. contributed that the U.S. I saw it's $4 million.
You are saying definitively that the U.S. gave
Yes.
4 million
U.S.
to the right. 4 million U.S. can be $880 million.
You're not a businessman.
It's
Stay
80
in the
million.
car now.
A million. Oh yes, a million. A million US is 200 and.
It is. It's 400. It's so too. It's
But you're
straight
saying
up there,
you're saying that's for sure. Well, you also have to look
That's
at.
for sure.
Yeah, you also have to look at context. 4 million US from the Guyana, from the government of the United States. You have to be grateful for small Morseys, but for the United States, 4 million is absolutely nothing. But anyway.
Thank you for coming through with that information.
All right, Gildarie. I'm a QC old boy, and Freddie also taught me at UG.
Wow.
I'm from Toronto, Canada.
Now, when next you come in, look us up.
Thank you very much.
Sure, I'll come again soon. I'll send you the article. You'll see.
Yeah, sure. You know my email address. It's quite simple.
Yes, Fred Kissoon.
Kissoon@yahoo.com.
Yes, I know. I'll send it to you right now. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Enjoying the show from Toronto, Canada. Cheers. Thanks.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night to all the Canadians in the house. Good evening, caller.
Yeah, Mr. Gildarie, I was want to talk about this NIS thing, man. I forgot about it.
The what?
NIS.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, here what happened. My wife got baby about 2 years ago. She never received the NIS money. She was a teacher.
3 years ago?
2 years ago. She never got the NIS money, right?
The NIS money that you talk about, just a clarity sake for those people who doesn't understand, is it that when you go on maternity leave, you're supposed to get half pay or something?
Yes.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Now, I'm a self-employed. I pay NIS for my wife and my son. Now, both of them work under me. Now, when she go for the NIS money, she put it for glass, they tell her that her name is not on the list of people, and she have to receipt to pay it every time. Now, with me now, I take a printout of my contribution, and these people, they doesn't have any contribution for 2 years. When I ask them, they say it's on the computer, but it's not printing out. I just so frustrated with this NIS thing. I have to pay $14,000 for 2 employees, plus I have to pay $45,000 per month. And when I go and do my teeth, I pay $80,000. You know, all the money they give me, $12,000 back. This is unreasonable.
No, this government need a NIS desk at some ministry, and in this NIS desk has an email address, has a WhatsApp number, and these things are recorded.
But that flies in the face, Freddie Kissoon and gentlemen there, thank you for calling. That flies in the face of what the president here finale. You see that there's a problem that I have. When the president torn up at these events and with forums like NIS and these other places, right away, the president got involved when the passport office was fixed. You can get a passport in 5 days now, according to what's being reported. When the president torn up, these things fixed right away, so I don't understand. Is it corruption?
When you go to these people at Melanie, these people look at you, they say they can't do nothing about it. This thing is frustrating.
Go ahead and ask to see Miss Holly Greaves or anybody that is representative. No, listen to me. Tell them that Freddie Kissoon and Gildarie sent you. And please feed us back what your experience with what.
No, but that what I'm saying. You sending the man to the NIS, and he went to the IMS and he recounted.
But he went to the lady now.
I think you need. Look, the president is very busy. The president met the NIS. Right now, the president is meeting over 200 African businessmen. Then the next day is something else. You can't expect a president to keep NIS, to keep happening NIS. You need a complaint desk somewhere, and that person will be responsible for transmitting those complaints on behalf of the government.
I would like to see how that happens. It has to be an entire department. You have thousands, tens of thousands of NIS things.
But at least it's a start.
My wife will pay every month. When she comes to claim for the NIS contribution, they say they didn't update it. I don't know when they go update it. We just get up 10,000, and she's paid. She have the receipt on her, and they say they got to go in back with it. These people are waste people's time. No.
Go in and see Holly Greaves. Tell Holly Greaves.
This is very unreasonable. It's frustrating because every month me personally have to pay $35 for me personally. Then I pay $14.
No, you are gonna have benefits. So go in and see Miss Holly Greaves. Tell them that we send you, and let's see.
And it's so easy. You just walk in to see Miss Holly Greaves.
No, but you try it. Let us know back. You see, if you don't do nothing, the problem that you have is if you don't do nothing. You got to start somewhere.
One time I was paying late, right? And I paid the interest. I went to do MRI. They suspend the voucher they said because of being late. And I paid the interest. I said I'm running a business. And when people pay, I have a pawn shop, a licensed pawn shop holder. And when people pay the interest, I cannot hold them stuff. I have to give them the stuff. I said, you explain, I'm not a bright person, but you explain to me why I can't get my benefits. You charge me interest and why I can't get my benefits.
Thank you very much. You hear what I just told you. Thank you for coming through. Okay.
NIS, oh my goodness.
Good evening, caller. Hello. Good evening, caller.
Good evening. I want to thank Freddie for reading some excerpts from those books. The most sobering one, however, was when he read about Roxanne Myers and that episode, the bomb story. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's really, can you imagine what these people went through? We should not forget it, and I want to thank Freddie Kissoon in his columns. Over and over again, he reminds us of the Guyanese people what they had endured for 5 months and the aftermath of that. Excuse me.
If you have COVID.
Freddie,
I'm just joking.
you had suggested after that 5 months that there should be statues built of those folks, you know, the ambassadors. And,
Ambassador Lynch. Ambassador Lynch.
I was really hoping that people would take that very seriously. And I think it's not too late. We should. I wish you could just push that matter. I think it's vital for the Guyanese people to know what transpired, and it will be evidence. It will be something to look at and to be inspired from. So thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much for coming today, sir. Bye-bye. Good evening, caller.
Hi, good evening, Gildarie.
Good evening.
Earlier here, Freddie made a comment that the Venezuelans and the communists were wrong with them.
We're not getting you very clear. Could you put your mouth a little closer to your phone, or if you have a...
I heard Freddie spoke earlier, and he said that the Venezuelans are getting wrong up. That they were deported and they should have been interviewed individually and stuff. Is that fact, or is that something he's just assuming?
We didn't get you very clear.
Okay, let me explain what he's saying. Okay. He's saying that he heard me say that the Venezuelans should not have been deported. They should have interviewed them and, ascertain his case. And he's asking me...
Did they deport them?
He's asking me if it's a fact. I think they were sent back. That's what I read.
You're not sure? You think they were sent back?
No, I from the report in the newspapers. So I am basing my thing on the newspapers. So I could be wrong. No. I could be wrong. The news could... The news could get it wrong.
The Venezuelan crisis is a big problem. Guyana should have an open policy, but at the same time, you need to know...
No, but hold a sec. Were they sent back?
Some form of screening of people because we have problems with our neighbor right now.
No, wait a minute. You said you don't know if I can verify what I just said. I can't. But Gildarie said to me that the video of people jumping through the buses that were...
I saw all of that, but you made a comment that they get deported, and I don't know if that's
No. Well, hold a sec. If they were jumping through the windows of the bus, why were they doing that?
You don't know if they were going, I interviewed them or what they were going. Remember, people are migrants. They come for...
Listen, sir.
Whatever hardship, and they don't want...
Could you please listen? I am saying, you said... If I can verify that. I told you I got it from the news. But Gildarie told me they put them in buses and they were jumping out the windows. So where were the buses taking them? Where were the buses taking them? Do you know if they were deported? Do you know where the buses were taking them?
If they're being deported, it means that Guyana's taking a policy, the government has taken a policy of not accepting Venezuelans, and I'm not aware of that.
Where were the buses taking them? Why were they jumping?
I don't know. That's the point. You don't know. I don't know.
But
if it was taking them to interview them as you were suggesting, because you have problems with the neighbors, you could have an open policy, but you need to know who's coming in the country.
Every country,
and you can't just keep coming in your gate and everybody walking like that.
Don't put it that way. You're putting it crudely. Venezuela have...
Because that's the way you put it. That's the way how I received it by listening to your program.
You're putting it crudely. You can't let anybody come into your country. How come we going into every country in the world?
Freddie Kissoon, you and I talk about this.
No.
The man is saying that you must have a screening process.
I don't deny that.
Yeah, but you cannot. The man is saying that.
But you can't deport people.
No, you're not saying that. You're not listening to what the man is saying. The man is saying, and
I know I'm listening to what the man is saying.
You cannot have people coming into the country and not have a system. So if you come into the country, so because they come into the country, you allow them. I think that's what you're trying to say. I think that's why I hear you. There has to be a system. Is there a system? But we don't know.
No. Let me.
And then the other thing, there's another gentleman called. I was speaking about Gaza and Israel. I was making assertions that who is evil, who is not. I think you should be careful with your guests in terms of how they say things. The guy that gets tongue inflexible.
What is that? No, he said that the people in Israel who are Jews are not really Jews.
I don't know if he knows the history of that place that well. I know Freddie Kissoon is a historian. And both set of people, Palestine and Israelis, have rights to the land. But they need to find a two-state solution. That's what they need to do. And if they don't find it, they will continue having that problem.
No, but he wasn't citing. He's just saying that
let me ask you on Freddie Kissoon. I'm gonna ask you on Freddie Kissoon this question. I'm gonna ask you on Freddie Kissoon. Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna ask you on Freddie Kissoon this question because something been bothering me. With all that is happening in Venezuela, and we know how countries operated, they like what happened. The Hamas very sneakily put people during that concert, and they killed people. We would have criticized that, and we came down on that very hard in a hard manner. But my question on the table is: should Guyana be worried, especially in the Venezuela context of things? With people coming down in droves down here, should there be a little more stringent look at it? I would like to hear from the two of y'all. I don't know. This is something that bothers me, though.
I think I really want to jump on that.
Well, I don't want that's. I will take some time to explain that. And when we have these calling programs,
let me give you my
no, just a minute.
Sure.
Yeah, you a caller. You give your take. I have an.
Guyana should take note of that. They should, because you don't know who's coming into your country. And what happened there in Israel is infiltration, and maybe there were Palestinians living in Israel after that too.
Let me put it a little clear. Let me bring some more clarity here. In December, Venezuela is scheduled to have a referendum. They pose some questions to the people of Venezuela, and they have to vote on them, including on the lands and everything there. With what is happening and the fact that Venezuela has their own problems right now, and it seems as if they're going to go against they're lifting up the American sanctions. They're doing things contrary to what America's told them to do. So in that context, with a referendum or anything, with Maduro's stated intentions that he knows that if he messed up, that it could very well be a problem for him. If let's say his people start to rebel against him, but let's say don't even go farther than that. In the context of that upcoming referendum and what is happening in Guyana and what is happening in the United Nations and the International Court of Justice with that case, should we be worried about people coming into our country?
I think we should be worried.
Did you hear what the United Nations Officer for Refugees in Guyana said? We have not less than 1% of people leaving Venezuela as refugees. Less than 1% worldwide has entered Guyana, with a substantial amount of them going to Trinidad. So the amount of Venezuelans we have taken here is a drop in the ocean compared to Trinidad and the rest of South America. Anyway, look, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming.
Taking up a lot of your time, but I want to make one more.
Yeah, quickly. We've gone.
We have our own local politics. Do you see how when we have protests, what happens? A 10-15% can cause a serious ruckus. So it doesn't matter if it's 1% or 10%. You must have a system to screen people that are coming into your country. That's the point. We can take 10%. Nothing wrong with that. We have the space. But you need to screen people and know who they are. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you very much for coming to this, sir. 637-1071. You could call us on 231-2982. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
I have a point to make about this Venezuelan people. Okay, Mr. Kissoon just said that there's more Venezuelans going to Trinidad. True. But if Mr. Kissoon knows that you can stand in Trinidad and see Venezuela, the shorter distance to get to Venezuela and Trinidad than it is to get to Guyana and Venezuela. You cannot deport Venezuelans to Venezuela because there's no direct route. That's why a lot of them come by boat. If you need to go by land, you got to go through Brazil, then drive up to Venezuela. I know, I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, now with the Palestinians and the Israelis, I have one question for everybody. Who is on this Palestinian side? Fine. I don't want anyone to die. I don't like to see innocent people die. But let me ask one question. If there was not the IDF tomorrow, what would happen to Israel? If there was not a Hamas tomorrow, what would happen to Gaza? Simple question. That's the simplest thing you could ask yourself. Tomorrow, if you take those two entities away, what would happen? From the river to the sea, Mr. Kissoon, you were part of that march the other day?
Yes, I was.
Okay, do you know what from the river to the sea means?
I know what is interpretation mean. Please don't give me the interpretation of other people.
No, I'm not. I'm asking you. From the river to the sea, the general interpretation is it will all be Palestine. Yes or no?
I don't accept that. Where did you get that from? You sure you're not buying into...
No. That is the... If you ask any Arab, I'm going to ask you a question. How many Arabs have you ever talked to?
Why do I have to talk to Arabs personally to understand
Because you need to understand
I think that
where
statement...
and the same come from. No, we in Guyana may take it one way.
No.
We in America might take it the next way. I'm going to tell you, I've talked to enough Arabs to know from the river to the sea means Palestine.
Here was my...
Mr. Kissoon, whether you accept that or not.
No, here was my problem. Here was my problem with people like you. You choose to pick a statement that indicts the Palestinians from the river to the sea. Why you brought up that and you haven't asked me the question of what Israel has been doing to the Palestinians since I'm taking the people's land and in the West Bank.
From 1947 or 1948?
Well, it doesn't matter, man. A year or difference doesn't matter.
Does history start from 1947?
Okay. My point is, why you seem to ask the question that would put some burden on the people who support Palestine, but you didn't put it the other way with Israel.
Mr. Kissoon, you need to understand something.
What I need to understand?
The people in Palestine voted for Hamas. They voted for Hamas. So I'm going to ask you a question now.
I'm not going to answer any question if you haven't answered my question. I asked you a question that you haven't answered. I am not answering any question. I am not answering any question until you answer the question that I just posed to you.
Post it again, please.
Didn't you hear it? You said...
No, post it again.
You brought up the question of from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And you said, isn't that saying that the Palestinians want all that area? But you didn't bring up the Israelis' occupation of the people's land since 1948.
Occupation of which land? Which part of that land did they occupy?
Sir, if you don't know, listen. If you don't know, I am not going to descend to that vulgarity. You telling me which part of Palestinian?
All right,
look. I am not going to descend to the vulgarity in asking the question: which part of the Palestinian land Israel occupy? That's what you asking me? A schoolboy can answer that.
Every piece of land that Israel occupied, as you put it, it was after some kind of violence. Yes or no?
I'm not answering. I'm not. Listen. I am not answering. I am not answering because I am not dignifying your vulgarity. I know where you're coming from.
It's not vulgarity. It's facts. Facts don't lie.
Facts don't lie. You know what lies? The facts in your mind that you call alternative
All
facts.
right, this is where the boss comes in.
That is what.
Thank you very much for coming through there. We have some other calls. Thank you for your contribution, sir. Bye-bye. Good evening, caller.
Good night, Mr. Gildarie.
Yes. Lower your volume, whatever you're listening to, please.
All right, so let me lower the button.
Yes. Is that the boss operates here? All right, let me hear you.
Yeah, and ready for Israel.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Make a point.
Yes, let me tell you, people read the Bible and like they don't understand the Bible. The people, God, they said that God made this and God made that. God put people on the face of the earth and people divide themselves. People divide themselves. Now God divide them. People divide themselves and to come up with all kind of strategy and all kind of stupidness to divide themselves with all kind of religion. So I can't say that God, this person is God and the person is not for God and this person is not for God and the country is not for God. All that is just stupidness.
All right. Your point?
Hello? He's gone.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, caller.
Good night, sir.
Good night. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Freddie and Mr. Kissoon. Let's speak about NIS. I hear a lot about NIS. I work with one ministry, one government of Guyana, and they robbed me 8 years of my contribution.
Who robbed you? NIS or the workplace?
NIS. They said they can't find it. The ministry burned down. Ministry of Health.
So if the NIS, if the ministry did not submit figures, would it be NIS fault? Or would it be the ministry?
I have my record of service, everything.
No. I want to clarify this because a lot of people, hold on. You make a point and then I will come back to you.
Yeah, I went through that phrase, right? I'm a pensioner now. Now I'm calling, I didn't get paid from February to present day, 2023. I'm calling NIS, I got numbers from WhatsApp. When you call to uplift, to done your life certificate on WhatsApp, I got numbers on them. You keep calling the phone, they never answer.
All right, you in the United States?
Yes, sir.
In Manhattan? Guyana has a consulate.
No, in Long Island. In Long Island.
Manhattan too. I happen to know that for fact. There's a Guyana consulate there, and there is a diaspora desk. The president has mandated that desk to look after a number of things, including NIS. You need
At the Guyana consulate.
Yes, I think it's either 42nd or someone is treated somewhere around there.
It's good, thank you.
Yes, you take that matter. The president he had a special conference on that, a press conference on that, to talk about some of the things that they're doing. And he spoke about the diaspora unit in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and he spoke about the work, if I could recall, of the consulate that we have. I think the consulate, so it would have to be in Canada, in the United States, and I happen to know the one in the United States. There's one in New York.
But wait a minute. If you work for 8 years, I live opposite the Ministry of Education that was burned down.
I worked for 33 years.
No, you said
I worked for 33 years. I was robbed 8 years of contribution.
But I'm talking about the 8 years. Now, if you're saying that you worked with the government for that period of time, and for 8 years, 8 years NIS said they have nothing for you, can't you get your stuff from the Ministry of Finance? Because all government ministries will lead back to the Ministry of Finance. So if the NIS is saying, look, for 8 years we don't have anything for you, isn't there a paper trail at the Ministry of Finance?
How easy do you think that is? That's a quiet question. How easy do you think that is?
I know, but I think if you can establish that paper trail, NIS, I can't see the government.
Go to the diaspora desk.
Because when I go to the welfare, the welfare officer speak on the ear, I call her name because I'm not afraid because I went there, Miss Boxter. When I told her what her NIS officer telling me, she asking me, why? Before she get up from her desk and go to them and ask them why you telling me that. And it just keep rolling off. Right? But what I'm saying, presently, I can't get I got a number.
Go to the diaspora desk. Yes, we keep repeating yourself here. Go to the diaspora desk at the Guyana consulate. The president has mandated that desk to look after matters like yours.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming through. Good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Kissoon, I must applaud you. I must compliment you on how you stood your ground there just now, Mr. Kissoon.
Well, I would not assault my dignity or engage in vulgarity, which in the year 2023, a person is going to tell me which land from the Palestinians Israel occupy. I mean, you really have to have some self-respect.
Mr. Kissoon, he's a fool. He needs to go and read the Balfour Declaration. He's a comic.
Anyway, so. No, the United Nations. The United Nations.
The thing about it, what people don't know, let me give you a quick piece of history and come off the phone. Listen, when they were deciding, because nobody in the world wanted them, these Israelites, these so-called Israelites, nobody wanted them in the world. So, Lord Rothschild, and the British and the Americans came together and decide that they're going to pick 3 places. This is history. They pick Uganda, they pick Palestine. You know what the other country they picked, Mr. Kissoon?
Guyana, I know.
Guyana was one of the places they're going to pick. So if they had came to Guyana, that fool that just called you would have been singing a different tune. He's ignorant. He needs to go and school himself.
All right, sir. Go on.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you very much for coming through.
Right, just in case.
Yes.
Yeah, just in case you just join us.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening.
Go ahead.
We're on to the program.
Yes, go right ahead.
So, if you have a criminal or somebody commit a crime, person or persons, and they're running away after committing this crime, and then they run in your yard or your home, and people on the road, let me say the community and the police is after this person. And the person in your home, you are hiding the person in your home or in your yard. And people barge into your room to get this individual. Right? What if something happens to you and your family and your home, you to be blamed? Because you should not be shielding people who commit wrong in society. You should not be shielding them, and this is what Palestine is doing right now.
You want to go down that road? You want to go down that road? Are you saying that all the families, all the Palestinians? So you wipe out an entire nation because of what one set of people do?
No, let me just finish my point. They have a terrorist group named Hamas.
You make it a terrorist. Who made it a terrorist group?
The Hamas are living among the civilian population in Israel.
Hamas was voted by the Palestinians as the government. So
if the Palestinians don't want to give up Hamas, if they don't want to flush out Hamas from among them, but wherever they get it, they have to take it because they have to give up.
No, sir, you cannot do that. So because my next door neighbor commit a crime, they must come and wipe out the whole diamond housing scheme?
But you don't see he is ignorant. He is ignorant. So what you're saying is unadulterated ignorance. The Israeli army. So which country or which age you're living in? The Israeli army has been occupying Palestinian land. Stop being ignorant, man, and read some book. The Israeli army. What person are you? Have you so ignorant you don't know that they're occupying the people's land? You must be the only person in the world that that does not know that the Israeli army is occupying the West Bank and the Gaza Strip against United Nations resolution.
Israel has to protect itself. Israel has to protect itself. You can't
Israel, how could, man, don't be stupid. How Israel could ask to protect itself in other people's land? How could Israel ask to protect itself in other people's land? Israel is other people's land.
All right, gentlemen, let's wait the boss comes in now.
No.
Right.
I should not dignify that ignorance. You deal with it. You deal with it.
All right. Make a point and that's it.
He made his point. He made his point. Okay. Thanks, sir. Thanks for coming too.
231-2982. And Freddie Kissoon, you need to pull yourself up and down.
Man, I tell you, when you have
but don't
when you have genocides like being committed, somebody could say that.
Caller. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Gildarie Kissoon.
Hi, go right ahead.
Of any member, of any person that called in there, ever visited the occupied territories?
Well, you have to ask them.
No, I visited the occupied territories.
Yes.
I was there.
Yes.
And my brother, I don't ever want to go back to that place. You know what I'm saying? And God bless those people that is living in those lands. Those lands will always have problems because of what Freddie Kissoon said. My brother, I just want to touch on a brief issue. You see that Venezuelan situation we have in Guyana? We have to be very careful. We don't end up like the Palestinians. In 1908, it's 9 families, Israeli families, that started that problem, you know. They used to rent from the Palestinians, you know. And we got to be careful. Palestinians are Christians. If you understand the history of that region, Palestinians were Christians. It's Saladin that came to Jerusalem and conquered Jerusalem with 300,000 soldiers. So let's be realistic about what's going on in this region. And my brothers in Guyana, be very, very careful with those Venezuelans coming in there. Because the next thing we're going to have is a Palestinian in the Caribbean.
Hold a sec.
Israeli occupation in the Caribbean.
Hold a sec, so you're originally from Guyana, right?
Yes, I was born in Guyana.
Where are you living?
I live in New York right now.
So why are you going to live in New York?
Well, I actually live in Guyana right now because I'm in Guyana more 6, 7, or 8 months a year now.
Oh,
the
so
last 12 years.
But you spend a lot of time in New York.
I spent close to 49 years in New York, but I've been back in Guyana for the last 12 years.
But why you went to New York? 1 out of every 5 persons in New York City is a Guyanese.
Well,
so they run away to. So they run away. You run away to New York. You run away to New York, but you don't want other people run away to enjoy. Why you run away to New York?
Mr. Kissoon, when I left Guyana as a refugee because of the economic conditions.
Oh, good. Now
I want to be honest with you about that.
Now you're making sense. So you ran away. You were a refugee. Well, let me end by saying this: have some conscience. I am not saying you, but I hope other people have the conscience in their soul to accept other people who are running away as refugees. Anyway, thanks for coming through.
I don't have a problem with the people coming to Guyana. I want to make that clear. Okay, my friend?
Okay.
Got you. Thank you very much for coming.
I don't have a problem with the Venezuelans coming into Guyana, but you can't have a multitude of people coming into the country.
All right, thanks. Thanks for coming through.
Okay, my brother.
Bye.
God bless. Bye-bye. Good evening, caller.
Hi, good evening, Freddie and Gildarie. Nice show, man. There's some good entertainers here. Freddie, I think you should do a program and enlighten the nation about what an occupation is, because I think that's missing. Because half of the people I hear calling in here doesn't know what is it to live in an occupation.
So,
I mean,
you got all kinds of people in this world. You're gonna find a guy said just now, in this day and age, A high school boy could tell you that Israel occupies Palestinian land that the United Nations say they should leave. United Nations, not Guyana. But anyway, so go ahead. You got to deal with all kinds of people in this world.
Yes, I agree. The other thing too, I think a lot of the callers or the people doesn't understand the difference between Palestinian and Hamas. Everybody now is a Hamas. They're not using the word Palestinian anymore. That's another way they need to be enlightened. That these people had no military, and here is a group of people that they voted in to represent them. What is wrong with that? Isn't that democracy? And who is the people that named them terrorists? It's only the Western nations. Brazil didn't call them terrorists.
Neither did
India didn't call them.
India, China, and Brazil constitute 3 billion people among themselves. Indonesia's 200 million. Pakistan is 100 near 200 million, and they never call them terrorists.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. The other thing too, with the Venezuelan issue, when you said that the amount that's coming to Guyana is only a drop in the bucket, yes, but per capita of what Guyana has, I think is a humongous amount. Because I mean, I was in Border Market just on the weekend, and I could tell you the amount of Venezuelans I see on a Saturday evening there, was outnumbered the Guyanese. So yes, it is a problem, and you have to screen. At the same time, we have to extend our heart and soul to them too, because when we had our economic problem, I don't think I see anybody got deported from Venezuela. I'm not saying they weren't, but I don't recall seeing anybody got to, because I know most of the people who left have made a better life for themselves. And I think we have to reciprocate in some way, And yes, you may get some bad ones get dragged through the net too, but that's the price you pay.
Thanks for that contribution. When all is said and done, you still have decent people in this world. Thanks for coming through.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
A cool night and a heated show. And mention of books, makes me think of Shakespeare. Romeo slew Tybalt. Tybalt slew Mercutio. So then the price of this dear blood. Reminds me of Hitler slew the Jews, and the Jews are slaying the Palestinians. And from the river to the sea, the Palestine shall be free of Palestinians. And the same will go on and on and on. From the time immemorial, from the beginning of civilization and the sedentary living in the plains of the Middle East, the Fertile Crescent, the Indus Valley. A has been slaying B, and B slaying
You didn't tell us which play.
E to F to G, non-stop.
You didn't tell us which play you quoted Shakespeare from.
Romeo and Juliet.
Oh.
Yeah. So Shakespeare knew about all this killing, here fighting. It never ends. So all night I'm listening to your show of of turmoil, stress and turmoil and upheavals, So it took me to Shakespeare. Okay, gentlemen.
Okay.
Thank you very much for coming through there. Bye-bye.
Just in case you just join us, our guest, Chief Parliamentary Whip for the Opposition People's National Congress, Chris Jones, he had to go to the reception of the visiting African trade groups that are in Guyana, but he possibly will be here on Friday. So we substituted the call-in on Friday for the call-in this evening, so you could call in. And in case you missed it, we just quoted extracts from these 3 books. Anyway.
Good evening, caller.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, go right ahead.
Just one comment. Is that
Go ahead, we listen.
One comment is that, first of all, when the Hamas went into Palestine, to Israel, and slaughter all those people, is that justifiable or not justifiable?
It's not justifiable.
Not justifiable.
It was a horrible thing they did.
So that's terrorism, I would say. Secondly, we're talking about, let us say right at home here, and Freddie is trying to justify the Venezuelans coming to Guyana as saying like the same way how...
No, but don't go no further.
No, hold on.
No, hold on. You said what Hamas did to those innocent Israelis. That cannot be accepted. That was terrible, horrible, and the world should frown on it. But why you didn't mention the 8,000 babies, of which 3,000 are babies? You could have easily have said what the Israeli Air Force is doing to Gaza is just as terrible and horrible and genocidal.
Form of terrorism I condemn.
Pardon me?
Is there any form of terrorism I condemn?
But you didn't. You talked about what Hamas did in Israel, and you left it like that. You don't know that since October the 7th, they've been bombing hospitals, schools, and even the president of Denmark that said this is going too far. This is out of proportion. So you call in, and you thought you would have done the most academic thing, condemn both sides. But you asked us if what happened, what Hamas did, should be condemned, and we said yes.
I said any act of terrorism I condemn. Hamas or Israel.
But you weren't specific. You weren't specific, and you're refusing to be specific.
Now, hold on. You're comparing now the Guyanese, the previous call, you're comparing Guyanese.
No, before you go, yeah. You seem to want to not to mention, and you haven't mentioned it up to now, the 8,000 civilians and 3,000 babies that the Israeli Air Force have killed and that the world is presently condemning. There's no mention of that in your offering tonight. You want to talk a little bit about that?
No, I don't want to talk.
You only wanted to talk about what happened to the Israelis.
Yes.
You only wanted to talk about that.
Yes.
And you think we should accept that and give you airtime for being so biased?
You don't have to accept that, but there's a consequence from what they did. There's a reaction. What should Israel do? Sit back and say, okay, it's fine, let us
So Gildarie told me to calm down. But you can't calm down in these situations. You just said
I don't support that. That is wrong.
What is wrong?
With the killing, the thousands of people are dying, innocent children. I condemn that too.
Okay, well, no, we asked you.
Recognize there would be consequences for what they did.
I asked you to do that. There are consequences, but the consequence has to be measurable. And if the consequences aren't measurable, you could end up doing things that are just as horrible as what Hamas did to over 1,000 Israelis. And that is what is happening now. I think
the word that the media international is using is proportional. What is a proportional response that should have been coming from Israel, if any at all? And the killing of thousands, I think the argument...
Anyway, thanks.
All right, but thank you for coming through.
One more point before you leave. You were comparing just now the Venezuelans coming to Guyana as how the Guyanese used to go to the United States as refugees. I think there's no comparison there. First of all...
I didn't say that, sir. A man came up. A man came through and said he left as a refugee.
Okay, I heard that. First of all, there's a border dispute, right? So the Venezuelans, they believe they own Essequibo. Now they're not doing how Guyanese used to leave and go to North America and so one or a family. These were coming by the boatloads. And they continue to come. They could overpopulate Guyana and overpopulate Guyanese in the years to come if it continues like that. So there should be some form of restriction until this border issue is settled with Venezuela. But they just can't simply come by the boatload and the truckload to Guyana and we just accept them as as refugees just like that. They have to have some kind of restriction, some kind of condition. We don't know who is coming, criminals among them. We don't know. So the government should be more sturdy in terms of the approach, how they deal with it, in which they're not doing anything about it, both opposition and the government.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much for coming through, sir.
Thank you, bye.
Bye-bye. Good evening, caller.
Hi, good evening.
Yes.
I was listening to you guys tonight. You don't usually call in, but I heard that caller, your last call, he called a second time, and it really compelled me to call now. So I really wanted to address the ignorance that he is spewing, because he seems to be one of those who believe this current conflict only began on October the 7th. So that's the first thing. When I listen to persons with the argument that Israel has a right to defend themselves, they speak from a place that this blockade has not been going on in Gaza
since 2007. Blockade. Exactly. Gaza has been blockaded by army that has no right to be in Gaza, and that blockade has been since 2007.
They call it the largest open prison in the world, but I don't believe it's a prison. When you have a prison, you are obligated to take care of your prisoners. What the Gaza is really a concentration camp. And it's very sad looking at history, seeing the persons that occupy Israel now are those that came from such a torrid history. So, listening to him, it reminds me that he is very hooked on what the Western media feeds you. And they always repeat the line that Hamas uses civilians as human shields. Right? And basically what they're saying, and I'll put this to him, if he has his family, they're taken hostage by someone and he calls the police, what he's saying is that the police, when they come, they have the right to kill the hostage taker and his family, and he has to accept it because, well, the hostage taker was using them as a human shield. Is that acceptable?
And that's one way of putting it.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for coming through there.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too. Good evening, caller. Hello.
Lower your volume. Lower your volume. Hello. Hello.
I think the person's not ready yet. So. Good evening, caller. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Good evening. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, I want to speak to Gildarie Kissoon.
Yes, you're on air. You're live, and it's your floor. Go right ahead.
Okay. You see, sir, this program you guys do it, I've been listening and I get very confused the way you guys handling the program.
All right, I'm going to invite you.
You are not trained. You're not.
No, but could you come across? Where are you located? No. Could you come across? Could you come across and give us a hand with it? Well, when you get a chance, come down. What's your name? You want to come? You afraid to say what your name is? My name is Gildarie.
I'm just making a suggestion for the improvement of your program.
Okay,
yeah,
so
you're not making a suggestion. Your suggestion is based on an interpretation. You interpret what is going on, and you find a fault, and then you're making a suggestion. So you have done two things.
Yes.
You have made an interpretation, and now out of that you've made a suggestion. But everybody's entitled to their opinion.
What is the model that you're proposing, sir?
I'm suggesting the two of you, I've listened to you on the immigration with Venezuela and what you guys are doing. You got to find out what is the law pertaining to those people, and the same with the NIS. The NIS have 6 numbers that you call it for your life certificate.
No, you're talking two different things. You're talking two different things. You're talking about the format of the show. Now you're going to NIS. Let's talk about the format of the show.
The body, what I'm saying.
No. You're talking about the format of the show. You started off with it. I'm highly interested in that.
All right. Let's finish the conversation. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much. Whoever that gentleman
Gildarie,
is, wherever
you're becoming a Freddie Kissoon. You shut him up.
No, I don't want to shut him, but I'm highly interested to know
Gildarie,
how. But Freddie Kissoon,
he ran away.
You like to interrupt people.
He ran away.
Let me
You're becoming a Freddie Kissoon.
If it is that somebody is called and they're talking about that, I want to know how is it that we can improve the show. I'm inviting him because I need to know. I didn't go far in school. I barely finished high school. I didn't go to university. So if there's any way I can improve myself, please
But you sounded like Freddie Kissoon.
I don't know about that. I hope not. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Leonard. I just want to compliment you on the way you're acting like the boss tonight. You know, ease up some of that janjan. All right, continue. Good luck.
Thank you very much, sir. Bye-bye.
The boss.
Yeah, the boss. The boss is in town. Good evening, caller.
Good evening. How are you?
Pretty good, sir.
Freddie
Good.
and Mr. Gildarie. There's something in my mind that I would like to raise, right? About the United States of America. Why is the United States of America always fund money to war zone areas?
War is business, sir. What's wrong with you?
You see,
America is not a war club.
Huh?
Why are they doing these things? They're supporting these people them in Israel. Why are they doing this? I don't think that America, according to Abraham Lincoln's last message, Americans should be concerned about their own affairs. If there is any affairs that any other country in the world needed, they could offer some kind of assistance, but not financially and weapon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming through. 231-2982 or 637-1071. Let's see those calls coming in. And the person wants to know why. War is business and history has a lot to do. America's gone back very far with Israel and they've been an ally with them. And so America is Israel and Israel is America. Simple as that. And war is business. That's my opinion. Good evening, caller.
A very good evening to you.
All right, just lower your volume, whatever you're listening to, and we can be good.
Yes, there's no problem.
Okay.
Is it open tonight for speak about anything, or there is a particular topic for James?
Anything.
Anything. Okay, sir. I got a simple, something to ask pertaining to what's happening in our judiciary system.
The judiciary?
Yeah.
Yes.
From the time of David Granger to the time of the People's Progressive Party, there is no sitting judge being acting. And there are so many other persons in places they're acting. Why these people are still acting? Why these people is because of, forgive me for what I would say, I know this is a program, a national program. Is these people because these people are Christians, or because of the nationality, because of what is the problem? Why could we promote these powerful women, these women that work, Guyanese women, who work in society, who grow up at school, who play in the schoolyard, and who play in our yards, and what's not. It is not healthy, it is not good for younger women who coming up in society to see women is being handled like this. That's my contribution, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming through there. All right, we got let me see, just about 6 minutes thereabouts. I've got a couple calls coming in. I like tonight, and I think we had a wide range of topics here. And it's going to be a little passionate at times. That's all right. We're passionate with this country and this world.
Just in case you join us, our guest this evening was supposed to be Chief Parliamentary Whip for the PNC, Christopher Jones. He couldn't make it. He had to attend a function of the visiting African delegation.
You got invited. Good evening, caller.
Hi, a blessed evening to you. I'm enjoying your program. First time I call in, Freddie. Y'all are having a wonderful program, but I just want the world to know and Guyana to know that what you're seeing taking place right now is just the prophecies fulfilling, my brothers. Right? When I say the prophecies, if you check the Quran and the Bible, these things have been written in Matthew chapter 23 and Matthew chapter 24. Right? These things must take place before the Messiah comes, if they believe it or believe it. When Noah was building the ark, the whole world laughed at him and said, man, the world never saw rain. They never had one drop of raindrop. And they were laughing at him.
Now, you were in earthquake in Jamaica just a couple hours ago. You seen earthquakes in New Jersey. My aunt live in New Jersey. These certain things never happen in certain places. So what the world got to prepare yourself for? Just prepare yourself for the salvation and make your life and make your family and everybody be wholesome and wait on the Lord, because the time is short. The time is running out, my brother.
Thank you very much for coming through, boss.
Thank you very much.
We can't fix it. We can't fix it. Don't worry what say it. We can't fix it. It has to happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Quickly, good evening, caller. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Go right ahead, please.
Hi, am I on to the program?
Yes, you are.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for having me. All right, I have two things I'd like to put to Mr. Kissoon just for his input. I will just like for him to explain if he has any knowledge what is, I think is Hegel's theory.
Hegel's theory?
Oh, Hegel.
Yeah, yes. Hegel's theory, and if he would apply Hegel's theory to what is presently taking place, because for me, I would see it as with Israel as the thesis, Palestine the antithesis, and then when you put it together, you get I think what they would term as a synthesis. If I'm not
thesis, antithesis, you get a synthesis. Yes, that's Hegel's dialectics.
Well, I would like for you to explain or to shed some light on if you think that is playing out in what we're seeing presently.
Thank you very much for coming.
But we got 3 minutes and to explain Hegel's theory of the dialectics, which was clarified by Karl Marx. That's going to take more than 3 minutes, and I don't think that's as applicable to the Palestinian thing. So I will have to defer that for another time. No, that's too. Hegel's philosophy is too complicated, and to also explain the dialectics and how the dialectic and how it works.
I mean, I am so bright. I would like to see this program, the format improved. I know things like poverty and immigration and things like that, and business. I could do qualification very quickly in my head, and I could write. I got a grade 1 in English.
Spend some time.
You got a couple of minutes, man. Go right
Spend
ahead.
some time reading philosophy. I don't know. Do you have any questions, comment?
Let me see. At 9:58. Yeah, there's one very quickly. Yes, go ahead, caller. Good evening. Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, good evening. Go
Yes,
ahead.
good
quickly.
evening.
Yes, go ahead quickly, please.
Yeah, this Freddie Talk Show.
Yes, it is. Freddie Talk Show. Go ahead.
Freddie Talk.
Okay, I'm calling from Queens, Richmond area. Could you please tell me with the situation with Venezuela and Guyana issue, what do you think about it? Like,
over to the boss, Gildarie. He's going to answer that.
Well, what do you think about it? Have you been educating yourself? The matter's out there. We have a matter before the court, and we have been. There's a problem in Venezuela. We have had them by the thousands coming over here. We've accepted them with open arms, but lately,
I hear like about 35,000 in Ghana spread across in the country.
we hear different numbers, and nobody's confirming. But we do happen to know it's in the thousands.
Okay, let's take this last call. Let's take this last call.
Hello?
Quickly, there's another call and we're about to close. Quickly.
Yeah, I think President Ethan Ali has to do something with the refugees, like send back them to Venezuela.
Okay, so we got to take.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. We got to take this call.
All right, bye.
All right, Freddie.
That's it. Okay, you want to have your concluding remarks before?
Look, there's going to be different views. I've been listening very keenly on the Hamas and the Gaza, the arguments for and against. And obviously there's going to be some religious arguments, there's going to be some political arguments, and whatever is the case. I think one thing we could all agree, that nobody is going to be backing or giving shoulders to the people who kill innocents. And no nation that stands up for that. And we got to be ready for the long haul. Israel said today that get ready for war. We're in war, and this is good. Don't expect it to be a very short period. It's going to be for a long time. We look at Ukraine and we see what is happening. There seems to be no end in sight. Expect the world to be in a very difficult place. War is good for some people because you got to sell arms, you got to move equipment, you got to move food, you got to move a whole bunch of stuff. Army need to be moved. You got to buy fuel to move the planes and so on. So it's good for some people, but at the end of the day, it disrupts supply chains and a whole bunch of other things. But also it disrupts people's lives. This is not war is not good for especially the people who are being bombed, and we have an entire nation which is being wiped out, being killed. 8,000 people killed just like that because of the act of one set of people. You know, those are unacceptable things. Down in our country, why is that important? Because we have to look towards the lessons that are coming out from stories like what is happening in the Gaza and from Ukraine, and we have to learn from them and learn very quickly. The world is moving very rapidly, and things are happening while they're saying, while the horse is starving, the grass is growing.
Okay.
All right, good night, and over to Freddie.
Well, thanks for joining us. In case you joined us late, Christopher Jones, PNC parliamentarian, couldn't make it legitimately. The African Trade Delegation has a reception, and parliamentarians normally have to attend those things. And I read extracts from 3 books I got this week. I thought they add significantly to our understanding of Guyanese history and to our historiography. This came compliments of the Minister of Education. It's a biography of Brinley Ben, one of the historic anti-colonial politicians in Guyana. The aunt will come and tell me. And she quotes an interesting part about what David Granger should have known about the 1973 rigged elections. This is the 2nd volume of the iconic Guyanese Isu Prasad, the 2nd volume of his autobiography, and he did talk about the harassment he faced as a businessman, speaking out of the threats he got from Hamilton Green when Green was 2nd in charge of the government of Forbes Burnham, and he lamented the scrapping of the railway and now the price we are paying for that scrapping of the railway by Forbes Burnham. This was compliments of Demerara Bank, of which Isu Prasad was the chairman. And then I got this, compliments of the Minister of Education, Honorable Priya Manichan. It's the report of the Commission inquiry into the general election, March 2020. This is a report you should keep in your library. You should read how for 5 months an election was being derailed. It just not for the faint-hearted. We hope we will be back on Wednesday, or we'll be back here on Friday. So we have a guest on Wednesday, and hopefully Christopher Jones should be here on Friday. If anything goes wrong, we have the call-in program. It was nice, always nice being with you, always nice having to hear your thoughts, whether negative or positive. On behalf of Leonard Gildarie, our 2 hard-working studio operators, as I always say, catch you later.